Hello, everyone. This thing says I'm live. I'm trusting that it's true. But you know what? Let me know if that's really what's happening, that I'm live and you can hear me, because I never know for sure. So, welcome. Happy Monday, everyone. I hope you're having a good one. And today we're having another live coding lesson. And I have a surprise for you. Today, Marcin won't be here. Yep, but that's the surprise. Who's going to join us? You're going to see pretty soon. But in the meanwhile, let me tell you a few words about all the tools you need. So you guys, I'm going to share my screen for a second. Let me just do it really quick. Yeah. Okay. If you haven't seen it yet, this is our website. And if you want to start coding, learn to code, play with the coding all by yourself, you can go to the playground. And this is the tool we're going to be using for the coding. So you don't need any text editor or anything. That's all you need to start learning AskQL and coding in that language. You can check available resources. You can go to custom and built-in ones. You can also check the values that are already available right here. You can also make the font a little bit bigger if you need, just like me. Right, so that's all you need to start learning. You need this AskScript playground, and you need basically this live stream, and that's it. So, and if you haven't seen previous lessons, because it's our 6th lesson, go to our playlist and check them out. We have the whole playlist. This is number 5, and today is number 6. And now, let me introduce surprise, and you're going to meet Łukasz Czerwiński. Łukasz Czerwiński is the 2nd main contributor to AskQL. And give it up to Łukasz. Łukasz, you're going live in 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everybody. As Marta said, I'm Łukasz. I'm a core contributor, and along with Marcin, we've created AskQL. I was specifically focused on AskScript. So if you feel the syntax is great, I'm very happy. If you feel there is some room to improve, let me know. I'll be very happy to hear your comments, feedback, thoughts, and of course contributions in our GitHub repository.
Yeah, you guys, we have lots of first time issues, or there are tags pretty similar to that. First timers only, first time issues, stuff like that. So if you want to just try yourself, if you look for places to contribute, come to our space, to our repository on the GitHub. We have lots of those examples to work on, and like contribute if you ever feel like it. Just help us out. And Łukasz, I have one question for you. I actually wanted to ask you before, but now we have a chance. Like, how is it to actually invent a new programming language? Because to me, it seems like wow. How do you do that? How is it possible? How do you guys do it?
I guess a lot of there is a lot of courage needed, and also some creativity, because you're starting something from scratch. So there are basically no rules. You can decide on everything. So we have a lot of freedom, but also you need to make decisions on everything. You need to make decisions what the language is for. You need to make decisions how the language would look, whether it's going to be functional language, imperative language, whether it's going to be based on lists or something else, whether we would like to get inspiration from other languages or make something totally different. So there is a lot of decisions that we needed to make. And also there are some decisions ahead of us, how the language should work, what constructs we should have, what resources we should make available as in the core. So yeah, so it's very exciting, and also there is a lot of responsibility related to that.
I bet. So what is, from like your point of view, what is AskQL for?
Okay, so AskQL is a great tool to communicate between servers. So imagine you have a server which you'd like to query for names of your friends, and then based on their names, you would like to query them for their age or not, and if they're above certain age, you would like to query about something else, and so on and so forth. So with REST approach, which is the most prevalent, the most frequent one, you need to make a lot of requests back and forth between server and client, which means that you waste a lot of time waiting for the server to respond, then get the result, and make some decision, and then make another request, wait for it to get back, and so on and so forth. With AskQL, what you do is you, instead of sending just simple questions back and forth, you send a complete program in AskScript. So in the language you're studying and learning now, and the server just executes the whole program and then just replies with the final result. What is a very important question is whether it's secure, and actually a lot of people are afraid of running user programs on server because potentially somebody can hack the server or stuff like that. But actually, the way we designed it is very secure, and we made sure the programs are safe to be run.
But that it could possibly take over the whole machine, and the machine would destroy the world. It could, if it wasn't secure.
It's good. It's good. But when programming carefully with AskQL, it won't happen for sure.
Exactly. Okay, so just one more question. If you could implement AskQL in everything, like or anything at all, if everything could be possible, where would you like it to implement it to, like the most, like the dream implementation? What would it be?
Well, of course, I would love to help Elon Musk to get to Mars. So communication with satellite. Yeah, Elon Musk. Yes.
Elon,
greetings from Poland.
Greetings.
Yeah. So using AskQL to communicate in the space would be the best moonshot project we can ever think about. So this is a great use of AskQL, and we hope to send it to space at some point.
Cool. Sounds perfect. Okay. So last time Martin and we've been talking about queries, and I started to learn about queries. So sorry, I hope you guys can see me well enough, because I'm getting some comments that I'm not visible all the time. Is that correct? Hope not. But anyways, yeah, we started to learn about coding, about queries, and we did some simple things. And to me, again, query is just asking a server for something, right? For some kind of values. Would you describe it like this as well?
Yeah, I think it's a good this one sentence description. So basically, in the query, you list the fields you would like to get from the server, and you describe the structure which you would like to receive. There is a library created, I think, by Facebook and for sure maintained by Facebook called GraphQL, which is doing a bit similar thing. We hope to make the approach much better and much more flexible. So in addition to the structure, we have also the fully functional program that you can run around the query. So the query is just one small bit of the whole program.
Right. Okay. So if you're ready, I'm ready to start coding and to start learning. If you want to just talk a little bit about something else, just let me know, because I'm ready to code whenever you are.
Let's dive in the code.
Let's dive in the code. Would you like to share your screen first, or should I share my screen?
If you have the code from the last stream, we could go. No. Okay. Okay. So let's start with my screen.
Okay.
Let's start with my screen and take a look at a simple query example.
I'm waiting for your screen to.
Okay. Sure. I think you should see my screen.
Yeah, now I got it. Yep. And I'm adding this to the stream, so it's on.
Okay. Cool. So here is a simple example of a query, which is using some of the values from the server. So if we look at the values in the server, there's first name, and there is also last name, which is Luke Skywalker. And if we run it, we get Luke Skywalker, right? This is what we got last lesson. So what's going on in here? Marta, do you remember how query works and what we could possibly write inside the query in here?
Well, a program would display only the last thing you're asking for, right? But when you're asking for query, you're gonna get both values you're asking for, so the first name and the last name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So the query actually, the body of the query has two parts. One part is keys.
The tag. What is this? A tag?
Yeah. And the second one is values. So the structure you can see here is called, well, there are various names for it, but usually it's called dictionary or map. Sometimes, rarely, but sometimes it's called record as well. So this is a structure where you have keys and you have values.
Keys, right? Not tags, but keys.
And value, right? So so keys, what's worth remembering is that keys are unique, which means that one key could appear here only once. So you cannot have two keys named first name, but you could have two values Luke if you wanted.
Yeah.
Keys are unique and values don't need to be unique at all.
On this level though, right? Because you can have the whole different set, and within that set you can have another first name. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, I'm talking just about the result. I'm not talking about the query yet.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking just about what was the result of the query,
okay.
of the query construct, right?
Right.
So, so maybe we could make another example to explain more what query is actually returning. So let's talk just about this kind of structure. I'll just write it here in an Ask script way. It is in single quotes. And if I don't make any typo, I made some typos, I think. Didn't I? Oh, I know what happened. Okay. So here we have an Ask script program that returns the same value as the query did.
Yeah.
We don't have any query here. We are not computing things in this program. We are just returning just a data structure. So dictionary is one of the basic data structures that are used in computer languages like JavaScript, C++, where we have a map, Java, Scala, also Python and PHP have similar structures. So what's worth mentioning, as I said, is we cannot have two keys with the same name. Depending on the language, either with such structure, either you get an error or you just get
the last
one value.
Yeah.
The last one, right? So you can have even 4 times the same key, but you won't get it in the result.
Right.
Key is always unique. Key is always unique. Okay.
What if you ask by using a query, like for first name, but like 3 times or 5 times? Would you get?
Let's check it. You just get it once.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Also, let's get back to the dictionary. And so we talked about keys. Keys are unique, so you can have only one key with a name. You cannot have multiple keys with the same name, but you can have multiple values. So it's perfectly okay to have 2 different keys with the same value.
Yeah.
We can have many different keys with the same value. It will still be okay.
Right.
Okay. Why it's important? It's important because it's good to know what really query is, what really query is returning. So query is returning a dictionary with keys and values, where keys are the same as the variables stated here, and the values are actually the values of these variables. Meaning that first name is Luke and last name is Skywalker, right?
Right.
Okay. What we can also do is we can assign the result of the query to a variable. I think you talked about that with Marcin last time. It was just a short moment. So actually, you could potentially do this. You remember what variable is?
Well, it's just identificator of the value.
Very good. Yeah, this is a name under which some value is stored.
Yeah.
Right. The value could be potentially anything. It could be a number. It could be a string. It could be a Boolean, so true, false. It could be an array, so a list of elements, and it could be also a dictionary. Okay.
Right.
So here.
Can you use let instead of const here?
Yes, of course. You can use let. Okay, so here we have v, which is our variable, and it holds a dictionary. What you could do with said dictionary, I think we could do this. Let's see. Yes.
Oh.
So what did we do? We used a special syntax, which is common for many languages, which lets you just get one value from a dictionary, right? So let me just copy this over.
I have to print screen that.
Go ahead.
But I think I missed it. Okay.
I'll do it for you. Okay, so here we have the v, and this is v, and here from the v we just get the value of the key first name, which is Luke, right? This is the value.
Right.
Okay, so how would we get Skywalker if we wanted to get Skywalker instead of Luke?
We would just put last name in the green field.
Yeah. Okay, we have Skywalker. You could also think what would happen if we just used a random key which doesn't exist.
Error.
So depending on the language, various things happen. In AskScript, so far we made a decision null is fine. Some languages would return an empty string, so a string with no characters in it. Some would throw an exception, so signal an error. Some would throw a different kind of error. So depending on the language, various things can happen. Okay, so we have first name. Okay, so Luke is just a regular string, so we can assign it to any variable. So now we have a variable a, and what's in variable a is just the same Luke.
Yeah.
Right. And we can do with this variable, we can do anything we would do with any other variable. So for example, we can make it uppercase, lowercase. We could split it like you did last time. We could do size, so count the number of characters, and so on and so forth.
Could you do all these functions or transformations with v?
Okay. So you mean
no, just the whole query.
Like
yeah,
sorry,
uppercase.
Uppercase. What would you expect the result to be?
I would like to have Luke and Skywalker in uppercase.
Okay, so it depends on the language. I think I cannot think of a language that it would work like this, but if you think it's a great idea to for two uppercase to work on a dictionary like this, you can always shoot us an email or write an issue on GitHub and propose that this is a good way of handling it. So far, we decided that it's better to do it field by field. So it means that if you would like to have a dictionary with first name and last name in uppercase, you'd need to construct it. So
right.
like,
Okay.
For example, like this. And the same with last name. Okay. Of course, instead of doing it here, this is not important right now. Of course, instead of doing it here, we could do it also inside the query, as you did in last lesson. Do you remember how to do it?
I would probably do it the same, but maybe I don't have to write it twice, so I can just use double colon, right?
Very good, very good. Okay, so let's do it the same first, and then see how we can use double colon. So a decision that we made with query is that in query we don't really need this comma. So if you do it like this, you would get a nasty error. If you remove a comma,
then it works. Okay, I see.
And then it works. This is, again, it's a decision that we, yeah. Go ahead.
No, I just said tricky commas. Like
tricky commas, yeah.
You put a comma in the wrong place and you just, the whole thing is destroyed.
Right. Yeah, so the advantage and also a disadvantage of computer languages and computers in general is that they are very strict in what they see and how they interpret that, and they follow strict rules. Well, it's maybe a bit more blurry with machine learning, AI, and all the artificial intelligence kind of things. But with regular algorithms, this is the case. You have strict rules, and the computer just implements the strict rules. So in case of the language, we wrote rules. Actually, I wrote rules how the language should look, how should query look, and whether there should be a comma or not. And the language, the engine is just following the rules. And there is no mercy, unless we implemented this mercy in the language.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, for example, there are semicolons that are optional, but commas are not optional so far. Okay. So let's get back to the first name and uppercase. So you proposed double colon. How would you do that?
We would just delete that first name from the middle with that space before, and that's probably it.
Okay, let's check. Yay, it works.
Good, good, good. Would it work like when you wrote it like below? Would it work like this below, like after the bracket?
Like this, you mean?
Yeah.
So actually, let's put a comma.
Colon, yeah.
Yeah.
A comma, sure.
Yes. So actually, it works.
Oh.
As you can see, the comma is needed here, so we cannot leave it like this, right? But the construct works perfectly fine.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so this is a shortcut that we came up with, so that you don't need to write twice the name that you don't need to. Okay, cool. So here is how. Okay, so here is how we can save the result of a query to a variable. So let's take a look at a more complex example, which I think you also saw last time, right?
Probably.
Probably. Okay. So this is a more complex example because we have a nested structure. What does it mean? Okay, so
that you're looking for something within a set of data. I think.
Yeah, so if we take a look at values that are available in the environment, we can see that parents is actually
another set or list, or I don't know how you call
yes.
it.
Yeah, so how do you call it?
Set, data set, or list?
I
don't know
okay.
the professional name.
Yeah, so actually set might be a bit ambiguous because there is a structure called set which has a bit different features. So I would call it a list or an array. So both list and array, it's fine. And so we have an array in here, and array has elements, right? This is element number 0. Because in programming, we usually start indexing with 0. And this is element number 1. How do you feel about that?
I didn't know that the first element would be an element 0. So, I mean, good. Everything is clear so far.
Cool. So if we are talking about list now, let's take a look at just the list with parents. So here we have a list of 2 parents, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember how we access the first name from a dictionary in the previous example? With V and square brackets?
You put V and then brackets, and then in a single
quotes.
Yeah, in a single quotes, just was it last name or
first name? Yeah,
first name.
Okay.
And I think that, yeah.
So this is what we did. This is what we did to access a key from a dictionary like this. Right? Okay, so now we can think about a list. Well, let's start with a simpler list. Because these elements are quite complex because every element is a dictionary. But we could start with a very simple list. We can start with a list which is just ABC.
Right.
Okay. So we have ABC. So you could think of a list as a dictionary with keys from 0 to n-1. So let me rewrite it a bit.
Yeah.
Okay. There is some slight difference between these two, but maybe it will be a good hint. So how could we get the value from this element, from this entry? Let's assume this list is named list. Well, we write list and square brackets, and then we just put the number, which means the index. Okay, so for example, 0. Note that we don't put it in single quotes like this, although we could. But usually you just do it like this. This is how it works in I think virtual all computer languages.
Okay.
Just put the number in here.
And is it gonna work? It should.
Yes, it's gonna work. It does.
Okay.
Okay, so we can what we can do is we can show A. How would we show B then?
1.
And the same C, we would put 2. Right?
Right.
So if we put 3, there are various things that can happen depending on the language you use.
Right.
Same as inexistent keys in dictionary. Some of them would throw an error. Some of them would return an empty value. What we do is we return null.
Right.
Okay, great. So now let's get back to the parents. So now we have parents. And we have 2 elements. This is the first element, and this is the second one. So how would we get this first element?
Parents, braces, squared braces, and 0.
Parents, square brackets, and 0.
Yes.
Great, we got it. So now, starting from this, how do we get Anakin?
Well, you have to tell that in the second list, you have to return the first item or record.
Okay. So how would you start it?
Well, firstly, you have to tell it where to look for. So maybe you can say parents, squared brackets, 1. And then maybe space or I don't know. But then you have to say, oh, this, or maybe you can just say first name within that. But I can't remember if there's like a dot or something, or a colon or whatever. I don't remember what's there.
Okay, so parents square brackets 1 will give us this, right? And now we want to get Anakin.
So you put first name somehow with a dot, or with a colon, or with something, or with nothing. I can't remember.
Okay.
The exact syntax.
Well, we could use the same approach as here, right? Because for the computer, it doesn't make any difference whether it was V with a dictionary or parents 1 is a dictionary. This is all the same for the computer.
Oh, so again, squared brackets?
Yes, we could do square brackets and then first name.
First name. Right.
Right. So this is how you can access Anakin from Satisfactor. What you might, so we also mentioned that you'd use a dot in here, like this, right? So actually, it would also work. Why? Yeah, I think you remembered it from the previous episode.
Possibly, yeah.
So yeah, so actually what we did is we implemented 2 ways to get value from a dictionary. One is with a dot and one is with square brackets. What do you think? Why did we do that? It wasn't random. It didn't happen just by coincidence.
The 2 ways of asking for the same thing. Maybe because people are used to write in different ways, and you wanted to make it easy or accessible. Maybe not.
Good guess. This is one of the reasons. So writing a dot is much more convenient than writing square bracket, and then a single quote and then typing the same thing, and then remembering, if you're not using a smart IDE like we are using, about the single quote and then about the closing bracket. It's a lot of characters just for a simple expression. But there is also another reason. Sometimes you need to write here not a string, but a variable that holds a string. What do I mean? Imagine you have a list of countries. You have countries and their capitals. So, for example, you have France.
Poland.
And you have Paris. Okay, you have Poland and Warsaw. And you have UK and London. Okay, oops, I made a terrible mistake. Where is the mistake? Oh, I know where is the mistake. There it is. Okay, so we have countries and their capitals. And imagine a user would like to get a capital from a country, but actually the country is, we're getting a country from somewhere. For now, I just set it as a variable, but we could be getting it from outside the function or outside the program. It could be, for example, a country fetched from user profile, or country that he just chose from the list. So we don't know which country it's going to be. We'll just have a variable holding the country, and we would like to return the capital. So if we knew it was, for example, France, we could write countries France, right? And we would get Paris. Same with Poland, and same with UK. So how would you check, how do you return the country, the capital of the country that is saved in this variable?
You have to can you ask for countries and then country within square? No, you can't.
Sounds promising. Go ahead.
Sounds promising. Because this will.
Okay, tell me just your first guess, and we'll see what happens.
Countries, and I would put countries, and in that squared brackets, I would put country, because it's the same.
Like this, or like this?
Like, who knows? I probably. I would. Oh, how did you write that France and all of this?
When I wrote France, I wrote like this.
Then in the quotes.
Okay. So if we write it in quotes, to try to access a key that is called country.
Okay.
Right? So this is why it returns null. So the way to go is to write it like this. So then the program, when it sees countries at country, goes to the value of country, and you can think of it as replacing the name country, which is a variable, with its value, which is Poland. In our case, it could be any other one. So it becomes something like this in the memory of the program. Of course, it's never written like this. Okay, so this is how it works. So the thing is, back to the double syntax with square brackets and the dot. If you wanted to use a dot like this would translate to countries. Country is not what we want. And with the dot, there's no good way to write, to use a variable with a value. Of course, some languages made their own version, for example, doing like this, or doing like this, or something similar, but it doesn't look nice. And we decided not to do it. We decided this is a good way to go. Okay, so this is
right.
Okay, so this is how you get a value of a country for a country whose name is in a variable. These are pretty complex things, you know.
Yeah, but makes sense.
Okay, so let's. Would you like me to repeat anything, or maybe you have any questions?
I think it was pretty clear. I think it was pretty clear.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so let's try the same thing with our parents. So let's get back to the parents. Now we are going to take the second parent. Okay, now we have a variable name. It has a value first name, but it could possibly have a value last name too. And we'd like to get this name.
So you put name in another pair of square brackets.
Yeah. Woohoo! Great.
Yay.
So let's check it works for last name too. Of course it should. It does. Woohoo!
All right, cool.
We've learned how to use a variable to access a key in a dictionary. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
What else we could do? I think we have the last 10 minutes. So what we could do is we could repeat what if is.
Okay.
Do you remember what if was?
If statement is basically a condition. So if something happens, then do this, right? So if, like we had these examples, if the given variable is 0 or below 0, then you have to return 0 or 1, or like, you know, it depends, depending on the example. And yeah.
Cool. Okay. So how about we write a simple program with if and query? So what would be I think a nice example would be okay. So let's imagine we have a variable called action, and the action could be possibly either name or hero or parent. Okay. So if the action is hero, we want to return first name Luke. Well, if the action is set to parent, we would like to return parent1 name. Oops, parents. Okay. So if the action is equal to hero, return first name. And if the action is equal to parent, return parents of @1 first name. Okay.
Right.
How about that?
Okay. So why don't we start with the if statements? So I would write if and then brackets. And
which brackets?
Just the regular ones, I think.
Round brackets.
Yeah, if action equals hero in the quotes. No, it equals with the sign, equal sign, with the quotes, possibly hero with the quote, yeah. And then you go outside the brackets, and I think you start curly brackets now. And inside you just put return first name.
Okay, so it's almost perfect. Congrats. There's only one error.
What does it say? Oh, maybe you have to put the double equal sign?
Yeah. So in most programming languages, use single equal for assignment. So setting this value into the variable, and use double equal sign for comparison. This way, you just don't mix these two up. Okay, and we got what we needed. Cool. So let's make parent work as well, because now it's just saying null because nothing is returning here.
So I would just try and go with another if. If action equals parent, then in the curly braces, return parent square brackets 1 dot first name.
Cool, great. Woohoo!
Hey.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yay. So now, if we know that the action could be only hero or parent, and let's assume we know for sure that it's not going to be anything else at all, no other value, just hero or parent, we could do the following. If the action is equals to hero, we return first name, and if we know that if the action is not hero, it could be anything else, we could just skip this if and just return this.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. Yeah.
It's very important to remember that we can do this only if we know that parent will be the only other possible value than hero. Because this is going to be returned for any other value than hero, for example, like this.
Right.
Okay? Okay. There is one more thing that is very useful in, there is one more construct related to if that is useful in writing programs, which makes this kind of if more symmetric. Sometimes it's just a matter of readability or just making the statements symmetric. Sometimes it's needed to make the program work correctly. So there is an else statement. So I'll write here a general syntax. So what we have now is something like this. We have if, then we have a condition, so something that could be true or false. And if it's true, then lines in this code block inside here is executed.
Right.
If we have also else, we write it like this, and we have another code block. So this code block is executed if condition is true, and this code block is executed if condition is false. Okay, so this means that we can restructure this part and use else statement like this.
Yeah.
Let's see that it works. It still works. Very nice. Okay, so last thing is let's add what could we add else? Let's add here some error message. So imagine
You're
that
not a hero.
You are the hero?
You're not a hero in this error.
Oh, you're not a hero, and you're not a parent. So let's add an error message saying that you're not a hero and you're not a parent of a hero. And the message should be returned only if the action is not a hero and not a parent. We would like to use if else to exercise more this syntax. So how would you do that? Here in the else, we'd like to check that the action is parent, and only if it is parent, we would like to return this. And if it's not parent, we'd like to return the error.
So do I put another if statement? No? You do? Okay.
Yes. Yes, so you do.
So if action equals parent, this happens. And then you probably put another else. And then the error message.
Yeah.
You're just
error. Yeah. You are not a hero nor heroes. Aren't.
Right.
Okay. So now for action hero, we are returning Luke. For action parent, we're returning Anakin. And hopefully, we are getting an error message for another action. Woohoo!
What if I? What if I didn't? What if I didn't put that else
Go
in
ahead.
the second place? Would it also work? If we just
Like this?
no, just without the else word.
Like this?
Yeah.
So actually, it would, yeah, it would work, or maybe not. But this should work, I think. Right?
Oh, have we just found a bug?
This would work. This would work. This would have worked. This would have worked if we permitted such weird constructs. And actually, JavaScript would permit this. While this would also work in JavaScript, but I think it's confusing because it's basically an if glued with some weird code block.
Okay, so it's like always better to put else, probably.
Yeah. Yes. It's better to put else, especially, and this is one last thing, that if we didn't want to return the value, but we wanted to assign it like this, message and message and message, and then return it somewhere else, the message is message. We need an else. Why? Because if we didn't have an else here, this line would get executed even if action was parent. If the action was parent, it would go inside here and assign the correct value, but then it would go here and unconditionally assign the value error, which is not what we want, right? We have the action parent, but we get the wrong message. This is why an else clause is very useful.
I see. Okay.
I think this concludes our today's lesson. I think you learned a lot today and also repeated a lot. Do you have some last questions?
No, I think it was really clear, and I think it was a great lesson as well. And I mean, of course, I probably need a minute to like remember everything by heart, but I do feel pretty confident with what you've been saying. So thank you. And no questions at this point. Maybe there will be some if I go through that material one more time.
Sounds great.
You guys, what do you think about queries? Let me know if you have any questions. You can ask me or Łukasz or Martin about everything we did today. And yeah, it was very interesting, and it kind of seems a little bit complex, but I think by learning like step by step, it is really accessible, and it's something anyone can learn. Like, I mean, if I can learn that, you guys can too. So stick with us. Next lesson, we are having next lesson next week on Monday at 7 p.m. And who's gonna be in the next episode? That's another surprise, but there will be another lesson next Monday at 7 p.m. So see you in a week, and you guys have a lovely week. So thank you and goodbye. Bye-bye.